Gojo Wakana, an orphan raised by his grandfather, grew up in awe of his grandpa's passion for crafting Hina dolls. One day, after seeing his grandfather's most stunning creation, Wakana decided he wanted to become a craftsman too. But his love for making dolls came with a fear. He worried about being judged or ridiculed, so he kept his hobby a secret. One morning at breakfast, his grandfather scolded him for staying up all night working on dolls. Wakana admitted he still hadn't mastered creating the dolls' faces like his grandfather, but he was proud of his ability to make their clothes perfectly. Despite Wakana's enthusiasm, his grandfather couldn't hide his concern about his social life at school. Trying to ease his worries, Wakana lied, saying he had plenty of friends. However, deep down, he was struggling to connect with his classmates. At school, Marin Kitagawa, a confident and outgoing girl, suddenly fell on Wakana's desk. Noticing ink on his arm, she reached out, but he nervously pushed her hand away. Understanding his discomfort, Marin left, but Wakana overheard her laughing with her friends about how someone rejected her because of her favorite anime keychain. Wakana couldn't help but envy her. No matter what she liked or did, people accepted her for who she was. After class, Wakana volunteered to clean the room alone, hoping to avoid any awkward interactions. But Marin, who was also on cleaning duty, joined him. She scolded him for letting others dump their work on him and encouraged him to speak up for himself. Her words stayed with Wakana, lingering in his mind for days. Back home, Wakana accidentally injured his fingers while sewing, and his grandfather brought him a bandage. When Wakana tried to sew again, he found that the machine was broken. The next day, he went to use the school's sewing room but ended up in an awkward situation when Marin walked in and saw him working on a doll. To Wakana's surprise, instead of mocking him, Marin admired his work and praised his talent. She even asked to see more of his dolls. It was the first time someone had called his work beautiful, and it made him genuinely happy. However, he was shocked when Marin suddenly began undressing. She revealed she wanted to cosplay as a character but didn't know how to sew the costume. Wakana immediately critiqued her poor sewing skills, and when Marin looked embarrassed, he quickly apologized. But Marin wasn't upset. Instead, she asked him to help her create her dream cosplay. Though Wakana had never made clothes for a person before, he agreed, touched by her appreciation for his craft. Marin explained that the character she wanted to cosplay, Shizuku, was from a dating sim with some explicit content. This made Wakana hesitant at first, but as he listened to Marin passionately talk about the game and the character, he realized she was genuinely excited, not teasing him. For the first time, Wakana felt like someone understood him. Marin didn't judge his interests, and he found himself inspired by her enthusiasm. Together, they made a plan to gather materials for the costume the following week. That night, as Wakana lay on his futon, his grandfather announced he'd be closing the shop the next day to buy a new sewing machine. Wakana nodded, still processing everything that had happened. Despite the challenges ahead, he was determined to give his best and help Marin bring her cosplay dream to life. The next day, Marin surprised Wakana by showing up at his house, too excited to wait until the weekday. She'd found his address by searching for their family business online. Nervous about her sudden visit, especially since his grandfather wasn't home, Wakana panicked. Marin handed him a bag of cheesecakes and then casually walked into his house, heading straight to his room. This made him even more anxious, as no one other than his grandfather had ever been in his personal space. Marin was eager to get started and suggested they take her body measurements right away. Although embarrassed, Wakana asked her to remove her clothes to ensure accurate measurements. Marin reassured him that she was wearing a skin-tight suit underneath and that there was nothing to worry about. After a few awkward attempts, Wakana calmed down and focused, realizing precision was essential to crafting the perfect outfit. However, measuring parts like her feet and bust proved difficult for someone like him, who had never been this close to a woman. When they finished, Wakana asked Marin if she had any other references for the character's outfit. She handed him 2 volumes of the game featuring Shizuku, the character she wanted to cosplay. Later that evening, Wakana's grandfather walked into his room to share the exciting news that their new sewing machine had arrived, but instead he found Wakana playing the explicit game with a serious expression, even taking notes. Completely bewildered, his grandfather silently closed the door, leaving Wakana to his work. That night, Wakana had an explicit dream about Marin, leaving him mortified the next morning. Embarrassed and unsure how to face her, he tried to act normal at school. When Marin introduced him to her friends in the hallway, they greeted him kindly before leaving. Wakana was relieved that Marin treated him the same in public, but their growing closeness didn't go unnoticed. Other students began gossiping, making hurtful comments about their potential relationship. This triggered Wakana's social anxieties, and he started avoiding Marin. Marin quickly noticed his behavior and confronted him. When Wakana admitted that people thought they were dating, Marin teased him, saying they should make it official. She then asked him to join her on a shopping trip to get materials for Shizuku's costume. Wakana agreed, and thanks to his expertise, finding the right fabrics and accessories became much easier. However, they ran into an issue when the perfect fabric for Shizuku's costume turned out to be twice as expensive as regular fabric. Wakana hesitated, but Marin confidently pulled out her ATM card, insisting he buy whatever he needed. They then visited a luxurious wig shop, where Wakana was impressed by the high-quality products. After choosing a wig, Marin scheduled a salon visit to trim it to the exact length and style of Shizuku's bob cut. Grateful for Wakana's help, Marin expressed her thanks at the counter, which made him smile. Their last stop was a store for garters and stockings, where Wakana grew visibly uncomfortable. Marin, noticing his reaction, teased him by peeking out of the fitting room wearing garterized underwear. Wakana, flustered, scolded her loudly, catching the attention of nearby adults. They mistakenly thought Wakana and Marin were a couple and overheard them discussing the explicit game. Wakana obliviously mentioned a provocative term, leaving the adults shocked as Marin smiled, unfazed. On their way home, Marin showed Wakana photos of famous cosplayers, sparking a memory of the first time he saw a Hina doll and fell in love with its beauty. He admitted he only uses the word beautiful when he truly means it, and Marin respected his honesty. As they continued walking, Marin stopped to buy meat rolls from a stall. She happily ate as they crossed an overpass, but then she apologized for making Wakana play her favorite game and for all the trouble she'd caused him. The mood shifted when Wakana refused her offer to share a bite of her meat roll, worried she might think he saw her as a glutton. Marin bid him farewell and reminded him that the cosplay event was in 2 weeks. After she left, Wakana realized how little time he had to complete Shizuku's intricate costume. Back home, Wakana's grandfather noticed the stockings he had bought for Marin's cosplay, which startled him so much that he fell down the stairs. Wakana rushed him to the hospital, where the doctor advised that he rest for 2 weeks. Wakana's cousin, Kari, arrived to take their grandfather to her home to care for him. This unexpected situation disrupted Wakana's focus, especially with exams also approaching. Despite everything, Wakana knew he had to find a way to finish Marin's costume in time and make her dream a reality. Wakana struggled to balance everything, his grandfather's condition, upcoming exams, and managing the family business, all while trying to finish Marin's costume. Despite the pressure, he worked tirelessly, often sacrificing rest. After their final exam, Marie noticed Wakana was still distracted, his mind occupied with countless worries. When her friend approached her, Wakana slipped away unnoticed and rushed home. Concerned, Marin followed him and brought food but found the house dark, assuming Wakana had gone to visit his grandfather. Meanwhile, Wakana sat in his messy room, overwhelmed by everything he was dealing with. With his grandfather gone, he felt like he was failing at everything, but Marin's determination and excitement for the costume suddenly came to mind, giving him the strength to get up and keep working. Fighting back tears, he pushed through. The next day, Wakana messaged Marin, telling her the costume was finally finished, but he needed some sleep before they could meet. When Marin saw the completed dress, she was overjoyed. However, noticing how exhausted Wakana looked, she immediately asked if he thought she was determined to attend the upcoming event. It turned out Marin wasn't planning to attend, willing to wait until the dress was ready. Relieved, Wakana collapsed to the floor, grateful for the extra time to perfect the details. Marin felt guilty for not clarifying sooner, realizing how much harder she had made things for him. Seeing her tears, Wakana reassured her and encouraged her to try on the dress. As Marin prepared, Wakana helped with her hair while she did her makeup, both working to capture Shizuku's essence. When Marin noticed a pair of false eyelashes, she panicked, assuming they belonged to Wakana's girlfriend. He quickly explained they were for his Hina dolls, clearing up the misunderstanding. Once Marin put on the costume, she looked exactly like Shizuku, ready for the event. Wakana was stunned by how perfect she looked, and Marin couldn't stop praising his work. She asked Wakana to take pictures, but he quickly noticed how different Marin's bubbly personality was from Shizuku's calm demeanor. After several attempts, they finally captured the perfect shots of Marin in character. Marin excitedly created a cosplay account, posted the photos, and invited Wakana to accompany her to the cosplay event. At the event, Marin was thrilled to debut her cosplay, surrounded by talented impersonators. Wakana, however, felt out of place in the large crowd. To ease his tension, Marin took him to a quieter area. Photographers soon began lining up to take photos of her, admiring her detailed costume. From a distance, Wakana watched Marin enjoy herself, proud of her success, but suddenly realizing that once the costume project was over, they might not have a reason to spend time together anymore. Panicking at the thought, Marin rushed to Wakana, worried he had left her. She revealed that her costume was tearing because she had worn a larger bra to match Shizuku's proportions, which didn't align with the measurements Wakana had used. He quickly helped her cool down and fix the issue, even though assisting with her sweaty back made him uncomfortable. Once the costume was repaired, Marin invited Wakana back to the event. She kindly approached a woman she had accidentally left behind earlier and asked her to take more photos. While posing, a gust of wind blew Marin's skirt, exposing her undergarments. Both Wakana and the woman were stunned, but Marin seemed more concerned about the candid photo where she wasn't looking at the camera. On the train ride home, Marin thanked Wakana for everything and excitedly asked which character she should cosplay next. Wakana smiled unconsciously, realizing this meant they'd continue spending time together. Marin noticed his smile and teased him about it, leading them to plan her next cosplay. Wakana, without thinking, complimented Marin, saying she looked beautiful as Shizuku. This caught Marin off guard, reminding her of his earlier statement that he only called something or someone beautiful if he truly meant it. Blushing, Marin glanced at Wakana, who had already fallen asleep. Back home, Marin volunteered to wash her costume while Wakana carefully read the washing instructions in a cosplay manual. Meanwhile, Marin replayed Wakana's words on the train in her mind, unable to stop thinking about him. Elsewhere, Wakana's cousin Cory returned their grandfather home after his recovery. When Wakana's grandfather saw Marin, he misunderstood the situation and raised his voice, assuming something inappropriate. After Wakana explained everything, his grandfather apologized to Marin for the confusion. Marin finally admitted to herself that she had fallen head over heels for Wakana. However, their moment turned awkward when her stomach growled, signaling her hunger. Wakana prepared some food, and during their conversation he learned that Marin's mother had passed away and that she lived alone with her father working far away. Wakana's grandfather, noticing her eating habits, invited her to join their family dinners regularly. After dinner, Wakana walked Marin to the terminal. On the train, Marin scolded herself for getting flustered even during simple conversations with him. The next day, Wakana's grandfather found a drenched young girl taking shelter near their shop. Thinking she was Wakana's friend, he brought her inside. Wakana, hearing about this, grew suspicious since Marin was at work and feared it might be a scam. When he opened the bathroom door, he accidentally saw the girl, Inui, completely exposed. Embarrassed, he quickly apologized. It turned out that Inui, who was older than him, had come to request a cosplay costume. She introduced herself as Juju, a famous cosplayer and one of Marin's idols. Inui had learned about Wakana's work after following Marin at a cosplay event and seeing her photos as Shizuku. While Wakana initially refused to make the costume, Inui blackmailed him using the bathroom incident. She wanted him to create a costume for Xian, a cool character from Princess Lily, one of Marin's favorite anime. Although ready-made costumes were available, Inui couldn't find one that fit her perfectly, so she was determined to rely on. Freaked out with excitement at meeting her idol. As they spent more time together, Inui admitted that she admired Marin's fun and bubbly personality as a cosplayer. Curious, she asked if Marin and Wakana were dating. Wakana immediately denied it, but Marin sheepishly smiled, secretly pleased to know he didn't have a girlfriend. Inui mentioned renting a studio for her cosplay photos, which made Marin excited. She offered to pay half the rental fee if she and Wakana could join. Inui agreed, knowing Marin's help would save her money and ensure her costume turned out perfectly. Determined to get Xian's costume right, Wakana decided to watch the anime to observe every detail of the character. Marin eagerly offered him her DVD collection and invited him to her apartment to pick it up. When Wakana arrived, Marin greeted him at the door wearing thin lingerie, instantly making him blush. Marin invited him to watch a few episodes in her bedroom, which was filled with Shizuku photos and merchandise. Though nervous at first, Wakana relaxed while watching, while Marin secretly enjoyed what she considered a home date with the man she liked. The peaceful moment was interrupted by Marin's growling stomach. Wakana offered to cook, but Marin insisted on taking over the kitchen, despite realizing she wasn't wearing a bra. Marin made an omelet rice, which looked unappealing on the outside but tasted surprisingly good. Wakana complimented her cooking, which made her happy. After watching a few episodes, Wakana started planning Xian's costume. He sent detailed instructions to Inui and asked about how she managed to adjust her figure for cosplay. During a video call, Inui demonstrated some tips, like using cosplay tape and improving Marin's complexion with an upgraded camera. She also revealed that her sister took her photos. Hearing this, Wakana asked if her sister could teach him how to use a camera, paving the way for their next collaboration. Marin and Wakana are shocked to discover that Shinju, Inui's middle schooler sister who they thought was a little kid, is physically mature and looks like a grown-up. While Inui never intended to become a famous cosplayer, Shinju's efforts in creating and managing her sister's cosplay account turned Juju into an online sensation. During a conversation, Shinju shared her knowledge of capturing the perfect angles with a camera. Marin casually asked if she'd ever consider cosplaying herself, but Shinju declined, explaining she preferred staying behind the camera to support her sister. Marin jokingly mentioned saving up for a DSLR camera after seeing the price of one online. The next day, the group visited a studio set up in an abandoned hospital. Marin and Shinju explored the eerie venue unbothered, while Wakana stayed behind to comfort Inui, who was frightened. As they talked, Inui opened up about her childhood dream of becoming a dazzling magical girl. Though she knew it was unrealistic, buying her first cosplay costume brought her closer to that dream. Wakana, touched by her story, asked why she trusted him with her costume. Inui admitted she fell in love with his craft after seeing Maran's dress and knew she had to have a costume made by him. Hearing this, Wakana was deeply moved but accidentally startled Inui, causing her to faint. A few days later, Maran invited Wakana to the beach. As they stood on the shore, a bird swooped in and stole Maran's burger. Even after moving to another spot, the bird followed them for their fries. Wakana eventually tossed the food, and Maran laughed. As they played by the water, Maran unintentionally revealed her underwear, which left Wakana flustered. Her carefree personality made him loosen up, and he joined her in the cold seawater, enjoying the beach for the first time. Later, Marin showed Wakana her new swimsuit back at his house, teasing him with her boldness but becoming embarrassed when she realized she was wearing a mismatched bra. Meanwhile, Inui was amazed by her completed Cheyenne costume, praising Wakana's sewing skills. Marin also tried to compliment him but struggled due to her limited knowledge of clothing. Inui suggested better foundation colors for Marin's complexion, and Wakana used cosplay tape to adjust Marin's eye shape for her Lilia cosplay. Seeing herself in the mirror dressed as Lilia, Marin's excitement skyrocketed. However, their excitement was cut short when the weather turned cloudy. Despite this, Inui complimented Marin's costume and posed for a photo with her. When Shinju arrived in her cosplay, both Marin and Inui were stunned by how amazing she looked. Shinju's costume had been a collaborative effort. After Inui fainted at the abandoned hospital, Shinju reflected on her dream of cosplaying with her sister. Her insecurities about Inui and other cosplayers had held her back, but Wakana encouraged her and offered to make her a costume for Som, a male character from the same series as Xian and Lilia. Wakana worked hard to accommodate Shinju's figure. He used his school uniform as a base, but faced challenges due to her chest size. After several attempts, including using a chest flattener and tailoring a sari wrap, Shinju finally achieved a convincing male look. Wakana styled her wig and helped with makeup, drawing inspiration from Marin's courage and imperfections to push through his own doubts. When Shinju revealed her cosplay to Marin and Inui, they showered her with praise and took a group photo. During the photo shoot, Marin impressed everyone by perfectly embodying Lilia's personality. Inui couldn't help but admire her idol, though Marin's fangirling over her made the moment slightly awkward. After the shoot, Inui thanked Wakana for helping Shinju achieve her dream of cosplaying. Wakana's kind and supportive nature left Inui with a deep sense of admiration for him. The next in line is Marin, who skillfully portrays Lilia during their photo shoot. However, chaos erupts when Shinju's clumsy movements as the photographer cause her chest holder to snap. Back at their residence, while Shinju reviews the photo she took, Inui confronts her sister about her insecurities. Inui admits that even she feels insecure and reassures Shinju that her figure is enviable, despite her being younger. The two sisters open their hearts to each other, and Inui declares how much fun she had working with Wakana and Marin. She expresses her excitement about having another collaboration with them in the future. On the other hand, Marin contacts Wakana immediately to praise his craftsmanship for making their cosplay perfect, but when she hears that Wakana and Shinju spent time together, she can't help but feel jealous. Days pass, and after watching an anime together, Marin decides to cosplay the main character, Veronica. While Veronica's outfit is a simple task for Wakana, her tan complexion presents a challenge. Marin, however, shows up at Wakana's house joking that she had her whole body tanned. Alarmed, Wakana begins to worry, but Marin reveals that it's just foundation. Sweating from the effort, Marin decides to take a bath and teases Wakana as he nervously offers her a spare shirt. Seeing Marin wear the shirt afterward, Wakana can't help but feel joy as she sits comfortably in front of him. Marin shows him chains and a wallpaper she bought to recreate Veronica's prison setting. She also puts on the fake teeth Wakana made. However, as Marin carelessly lifts her shirt to apply body oil to mimic Veronica's underboob, the sight leaves Wakana flustered. Marin, trying to help him recover, stumbles instead, forgetting she's wearing chains on her feet. The next day, Marin drags Wakana out shopping for new clothes. While Marin loves every outfit Wakana tries, he feels uncomfortable and prefers his usual plain clothing. Eventually, Marin selects a shirt similar to his usual style, which makes him feel at ease. Afterward, they visit other shops to grab food and explore. As they head home, Wakana confesses that he won't be able to accompany Marin for her next cosplay photo shoot. Her next outfit barely covers her chest, and he's too embarrassed to look. Marin laughs but teases him by whispering in his ear, asking if he wants a photo of her in Veronica's outfit. Her playful words leave Wakana blushing. Their next stop is a manga cafe. Being in such an intimate space with Marine makes Wakana uneasy, but Marin's laid-back nature soon calms him. However, he's shocked when she orders a massive bunkers meal, which lightens the mood. Marin shows Wakana her favorite manga character, Liz, but admits she's unsure if she can cosplay the cute succubus since she doesn't think of herself as cute. While Marin steps out to grab food, Wakana realizes how difficult it is to use a manga for a costume reference, as the outfits lack detailed illustrations compared to anime or games. The next day, Marin surprises Wakana by taking him to a love hotel for a photo shoot. Wakana is visibly nervous, and Marin can't help but tease him by inviting him to take a bath with her. Wakana immediately declines. While waiting for Marin to finish her bath, he turns on the TV, only to be greeted by an erotic show which worsens his discomfort. Finally, Marin steps out in her succubus outfit, which Wakana crafted after thoroughly researching Liz's design online. Marin playfully teases Wakana further, even grabbing free condoms from the hotel and handing him one, calling it a financial charm. Despite the teasing, she pouts when Wakana only compliments the vibrant color of her wig, expecting him to notice her entire look. Wakana brings in props to enhance the photo shoot and begins capturing Marin's photos. For the final shot, Marin recreates a scene from the manga where Liz sings a lullaby to put the male character to sleep. After taking the shot, Wakana decides the scene would look better from the male character's point of view. Wakana lays on the comfy bed, kindly asking Marin to sit on his stomach for a shot. After seeing the picture, Marin is amazed and immediately expresses how much fun she's having, while Wakana happily watches her. However, a sudden moan from the next room ruins the mood and flusters Wakana. He quickly tries to take Marin off his stomach, but in shock, Marin accidentally throws her phone at the light switch, turning off the lights. The atmosphere becomes tense as Marin sits on top of Wakana in the dark, almost leading them into something explicit. Before things escalate, the hotel's front desk calls to remind them that their time is almost up. The two awkwardly leave the hotel and head home. Even after returning to his house, Wakana can't stop thinking about what almost happened between him and Marin. While working on Hina dolls, he suddenly receives an SOS message from Marin. Nervous, Wakana rushes to check on her, only to discover that she's struggling with her assignments. Relieved, he reassures her and continues working on Marin's headdress while she rants about her father, who canceled their plans to attend the festival. Wakana learns that Marin's part-time job is being a model, and he's amazed at how different she looks in the magazine compared to real life. Marin decides to take a break and plays a horror movie, claiming it's not scary but ends up showing the opposite as she struggles to look brave. Wakana, however, is captivated by the ghost makeup and rewinds some scenes to admire it. After finishing her assignments, Marin remembers that she left her math lecture notes at school. She and Wakana head to the classroom to retrieve them. Afterward, Wakana invites Marin to have dinner at his house, but on their way, Marin notices the large pool and purposely jumps into the water despite Wakana's attempts to stop her. When he pulls her out, Marin reveals she can't swim. She recalls that even during her recent beach trip with friends, she had fun because of the food and their silly conversations, despite not going into the water. Wakana shares that he feels the same way about crafting Hina dolls. Though he loves making them, he struggles with creating the dolls' faces. As the sun sets, Wakana receives a message from Marine saying she's finished her assignments and ready to attend the festival. His grandfather sends him off with a smile, and when Wakana arrives at the meeting spot, he's captivated by the sight of Marin in a yukata. Seeing his blushing face, Marin teases him before dragging him to try various festival delicacies. Marin carries everything with excitement, and the announcement of the fireworks adds a magical vibe to their night. While watching the fireworks, Wakana reflects on how much his life has changed since meeting Marin. He remembers his past as an introvert and a shut-in, a stark contrast to how he feels now. Marin lightens the mood by showing Wakana her tongue, which has turned blue from her food. As the festival winds down, Marin's feet begin to hurt from walking in uncomfortable shoes. She decides to take them off, and Wakana offers to carry her on his back. Marin doesn't refuse, and as they head home, she promises to wear comfortable shoes next year to avoid spoiling the mood. Wakana smiles, touched by Marin's plans to spend another year with him. As the festival ends, summer vacation gives way to another academic year. However, Marin spends the night watching the sequel to the horror movie they had previously seen together. Though she hopes to get through it without being scared, the opposite happens. Unable to sleep, she calls Wakana to keep her company over the phone. After Wakana falls asleep, Marin softly confesses her hidden feelings for him before quietly turning off her phone. With this, the story ends. If you liked it, please subscribe for more videos like this, and see you in the next video.